Now, when it comes to calisthenic skills, this is probably one of the most important movements that you can learn. This shoulder stand position. Now, it doesn't look that impressive. Yes, it's a cool arm balance, but when we use it in other exercises or other skills that are more advanced, you realize how powerful it is. So let's look at the handstand push-up. This is the change of direction. So think of this like the bottom of the squat. If you can't hold the bottom of the squat, you're not going to be able to squat up and down for repetitions or with load. The same with the handstand push-up. This is the point where you change direction. So here, up to handstand is crucial in learning the handstand push-up, going down, changing direction, and then going back up again. If I don't have that shoulder stand, I'm not going to be able to change direction like that. So that should be enough to sell it to you. But if we look at other movements like muscle ups, L-sit to handstand on P-bars, you start to understand how important it is. And the cool thing is, approached in the right way, it's actually quite easy. But we don't want to start off with the shoulder stand like this. We don't want to learn it in this way. We want to make sure that we create a foundation first in a tuck position, not in a straight position. And we want to enter and exit it from the back position. That's going to make it much safer to learn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to externally rotate the hands, push my upper arm into my torso there, and I'm just going to rest on my arms. And notice how far back my legs are in terms of not being in an inverted upright position. We don't want to throw ourselves into it because we're going to end up going in that direction. So we want to make sure that we're entering it from the back, arms into the torso, and then I'm just taking the head and shoulders down just enough to counterbalance. Now I can't lift my feet here, but look, if I bend the leg, push the hip up a little bit higher, now I can lift both legs into position, show control, come back out again. Now if you are really nervous in this position, this might not be the best setup for you. I don't want to necessarily start with concrete down there, but if you do have a setup like this, it works really nice. But just have someone standing here with their hands on their low back, and if you feel like you're going to go too far, they can push you backwards in that direction. But the main thing is to have a setup that you can handle by yourself. You could back up to a wall, so you could use P-bars or a box, have a wall here, and then touch the wall with the leg. So I could be touching the wall with the leg now and know that that's my safety. That's going to stop me if I go over. But the one thing we need to work out is how do we bail in this position, because sooner or later we are going to go over. So what I would do is just get very comfortable with the arms into the side or into the torso here, come into this position and then exit out the side, and get very comfortable with twisting and turning. You'll have a preference side to side, but practice on both sides and just make sure that the elbow comes in when you roll on top of it. So when I'm coming into this position here, elbows in, and then I'm taking the right arm in here, so I have this foundation. What we don't want to do is have the elbow go out that direction. So elbows in, practice coming out there. You can even practice going back in that way as well. Look, I can step in and out, and that's going to make it really safe, because if I start to bail, I can just twist and turn out. Now I could practice on a wall up here. I could practice on the bench. The bench is going to restrict me in terms of getting into it, but if I place the hands in the right position, and now I use that entry that we were just talking about, we used it as an exit over there, but I had the elbow in, so elbow in towards the midline, shoulders down, and look, I can climb here into the position. There's the full position, and then exit back out the way I came in. But ideally, you're going to have a setup that's a little bit more easier to get in and out when you're learning. Now, P-bars work really well to learn and play with the shoulder stand as well, and you can learn those progressions, those L-sit through to handstand variations. But I wouldn't start on high P-bars like this, ideally. You're much safer to go on those other ones like this, where I can move them around to where I need them close by the wall, and they're also not as far off the floor. But if you are using higher, longer P-bars, you can start and finish actually on the bars and keep it very safe. So we'll do exactly the same thing as we done on the wall. So I'm going to go into the position like this, but I'm going to start with my knees on the bar. So there, I'm going to bring my arms into my side, into my torso, head and shoulders there, and look at my angle. The torso is very flat. I'm not going to go into this position. I'm not going to throw the legs up in the air. I'm going to keep my torso quite flat. That makes it a little bit harder from a strength point of view, because you're dealing with the hips and the feet hanging down, but it's going to make it much safer. You're basically just going to stay down in your underbalance. That's why we want to be safe and not go to our overbalance. But once you start getting a bit more comfortable in the L-sit position itself, you can start to extend the legs a little bit more, all the way up to a straight position. Notice the angle that I'm moving up and down. The pathway is not vertical, so I'm not going straight up and down, I'm going backwards. and angle. You want to think that way. Don't think up, because up's going to take you over. Because our head and shoulders are in front of our hands, the position is angled at all times. Once we have that position, we can start to make it more interesting by adding in the L-sit. So I have this position here in a tuck, and then I'm just going to rotate, shoulders come up, hips come down, through to my L-sit there, and then back, if I have it, into that position. Notice the body is moving as one piece. Now that's much harder to do than going down. The up, the back is always going to be harder. You might need to use a little bit more momentum to start with, but be careful when you use momentum because you don't want it to kick you up and over. And then we can start to extend that out. So you might be in this position, in for the transition, out at the bottom and back up again, or you could start transitioning in open positions, which is much harder, as you can tell by my voice. So that should give you enough information to work initially on that tuck position and then start to open it out to the straight position. Go nice and steady with this one, work within your abilities. And whether your goal is a handstand push-up or a press handstand or just showing really good control and an arm balance, the shoulder stand is going to be a really powerful tool to help you on your journey. If you do need more help with your training, I have my courses and my app. Links are down in the description and they're currently on sale. I'll speak to you guys in the next one.